Good evening. Welcome to Blue York One News. This is Jonathan Sauerschell, NYCFCBlues.com and Blue City Radio. This week, we have another win to discuss, 2 games to preview, and then some possibly melancholy news, if you people actually like me. The first bit of news, though, we won again. Yeah, that's right, 3 in a row. Can you believe it? Neither can I. Absolutely fantastic win Sunday night in Portland against the Timbers, defending MLS Cup champion Portland Timbers. In a game that saw us only get about 40% of the possession, we got 2 goals and they only got 1. It was an interesting matchup because Portland plays the way we want to play, and it kind of took us out of our normal game plan. Our midfield of Mikey Lopez as the holding midfielder, Andrea Pirlo, and Mix Discarud was under a lot of pressure, and our back four, which has become the standard back four of R.J. Allen, Frederick Brillant, Jason Hernandez, and Ronald Matarrita, had to put in a lot of work. As did Josh Saunders, who had probably his best game of the season, making some spectacular saves. But this game was defined by a couple of players and a couple of plays. First, Jason Hernandez. Man of the match, such a good performance that he had a write-in vote on the NYCFC Twitter to make him man of the match. He was immense. 6 block shots, gets his shirt ripped off by Adi, still blocks a shot. He's all over the place. He was immense the entire game and deservedly man of the match, and easily his best performance this season and probably in his NYCFC career. The other great players, David Villa scores a great goal. Ronald Matarrita, of course, played really good. Mikey Lopez put in a shift at defensive midfielder, filling in for Federico Bravo, who was out with the 1-game suspension. Mikey Lopez was everywhere, covered everything they needed to do, and really held it together and didn't pick up a yellow card, so credit to him for that. You know, showing maybe a little bit more disciplined side to his game. Tommy McNamara, he was good. A lot of the team was good, but really it comes down to 2 plays. The first was the first goal. David Villa scored the goal. I already told you that. That sounds cool, but that's not the fun part. The fun part was the 40-yard curling pass along the ground by R.G. Allen that split the center backs, found Villa in stride, and allowed him to put it past Jake Gleason for the goal. This pass was, dare I say, Pirlo-esque. We'll call him R.J. Pirlo. Does that sound good? The Monmouth Pirlo? Because it was immense. It was perfect. You couldn't have placed that pass better if you tried. You have to check out the video. I suggest that you do immediately if you haven't, and then watch it a few more dozen times. It was just perfect. And it sort of goes to show what R.J. Allen has been giving to the fans and to this team whenever he's in the lineup. He just adds something. You know, you don't expect him to make those passes, but he can, and he did it. He's getting up and down the field. He really did shut down Darlington Nagbe, who had a fairly quiet game, because he was stationed on the left. And R.J. Allen did a good job of keeping him quiet, keeping him wide as well for the most part, and that's credit to him for that. And Villa, finished it perfectly because David Villa is fantastic, and lather, rinse, repeat. He's immense. I think if there's ever a debate, I think that debate's long over. David Villa is one of the best designated players in the league. And considering what he does off the field, how much he's embraced the city and the language and the community, he might be one of the best MLS designated players in history. But that's not even maybe the coolest moment of the game. The coolest moment of the game was the second goal. So we get up 1-0, we go into the second half, we allow a tying goal in the 55th minute, which made sense because they had about 19 shots at that point, and at a certain point we broke. But after that, we were really good after we gave up the tying goal, and exemplified by Tommy McNamara with another 24-yard top corner curling beauty that just has become his trademark. Andrea Pirlo has the ball. He pauses. You see McNamara asking for it. Pirlo pauses, waits to draw 2 men to him. No look passes it to McNamara, who's got time and space to set up his first touch and put it perfectly. It didn't matter if the goalkeeper was 8 feet tall. That ball's not getting saved. It was just perfect. Again, couldn't have placed it any better. Fantastic goal. And NYCFC get on with a really impressive especially because they had to use Plan B, 2-1 victory for NYCFC. The most impressive thing of note in my mind, the last 15 minutes of the game. That's where Portland usually crushes teams. That's how they did it last year. That's what they've shown this year. They had 2 shots total, not on goal, total in the last 15 minutes. NYCFC shut them down. So credit to NYCFC, 3 wins in a row, tied for first on points in the Eastern Conference. And looking forward to a big week with a trip to Toronto and the first Hudson River Derby of the season. That leads us to previews. First game, tomorrow night in Toronto against Toronto FC. We've seen Toronto, right? We played them 3 times last year. We played them at the home opener this year. They're good, but we've done well against them. What can we expect? Josie Altidore out. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. Hamstring injury again. That hurts the United States. And it hurts Toronto. Giovinco's great, but does he have enough support without Altidore? He needs somebody to draw the defense away from him. And the last time we played in Toronto last year, we sat really deep, bodied on Giovinco, didn't give him any space. I don't think we're going to be we're going to sit back that deep this time, but it could depend partially on the lineup, especially with the game coming up on Saturday and the travel back, flying out to Portland, then coming back to New York with a stopover in Toronto. So you could see a different midfield. You could see somebody like Mehdi Bellucci, who actually came on as a substitute on Sunday and performed pretty well. You could see him play. Bravo is back from his suspension. There's a good chance he'll play. Lopez, maybe he sits with an eye towards Saturday. Pirlo could definitely sit. It seems like Villa's not going to sit, but you got to wonder at some point if they're going to give him a rest. Maybe they start a Mendoza, or maybe Patrick Mullins gets brought in from the cold. There definitely could be some changes. You don't want to change the back 4 too much. They didn't do so well, but at the same point, you do need to give them a breather. Perhaps Ethan White gets into the starting lineup, or maybe even Andoni Iraola. Could we see Diego Martinez at left back? The other thing to look for is the goalkeeper. Before the road trip, Patrick Vieira had indicated that Johansson will probably get a start on one of those 2 games. He didn't start on Sunday, and Josh Anders was fantastic. So honestly, I don't know what are the odds of Johansson starting Wednesday. But you could see a definitely different lineup, which could affect the way we play and how we go about things. I think, the thing with Toronto is stop Giovinco. And especially without Altidore, really is stop Giovinco. Well, they have a good midfield, Michael Bradley, Will Johnson. They have some nice players, and their defense is much improved this year. Ultimately, if you can slow down Giovinco, and really, you can't ever stop Giovinco. If you can slow him down, you probably can get a result, and we've seen that before. So, the hope is that we can get something out of this game, keep everybody healthy, and get the lineup fully set for Saturday, because that's the big one against the Red Bulls. One other thing to look out for, though, is Patrick Vieira has indicated very strongly that Frank Lampard could play a part in either Wednesday or Saturday, or maybe even both. So do we see Frank Lampard at some point, perhaps in the Toronto game, as sort of a tune-up for Saturday? I don't know. It's a possibility. We'll see. Something to look out for, though. And ultimately, at the end, I think we can grab a result of some kind, feeling like a 2-2. Might be a little bit ugly, a little bit choppy, not our standard lineup. You bring in new players, it's going to be a little tougher to play with your normal rhythm. But I think we'll end up getting a result. Toronto's a team that we kind of match up well against. They don't have a lot of attacking threat in wide areas, which is good because we push our fullbacks up so far. So I think we can get something from this game. The big game, though, is Saturday. Yankee Stadium, 3 p.m., Saturday afternoon. First Hudson River Derby of the season against the New York Red Bulls. A struggling New York Red Bulls team who have massive injuries in their back 4 and seem to be very inconsistent. It's an interesting one. I think NYCFC is in a much better position to take advantage of the Red Bulls than they were at any point last year. I think we're a different team. We're more athletic. We're younger. I think we can take away their plan A, which is, their press and their possession. If we can take that away, do they have a plan B? Jury's still out on that. I think, we'll obviously come out the aggressor. I think we'll see a fairly full lineup. I think we'll see our pretty much standard lineup. Pirlo, Bravo, Lopez in midfield. Villa, McNamara, and Shelton up front. Standard back 4. Josh Saunders should be in goal. At this point, that lineup's played really well. They seem to have a lot of athleticism, a lot of energy. And, they're starting to defend much better as a team, as a unit. And I think you're starting to see a team that's starting to believe in itself. And, that Portland game is a perfect example. McNamara is going to drive at their defense. Who knows who's starting in the Red Bulls defense? They also have a game Wednesday. and they have so many injuries. It could be two other guys you've never heard of by the time the game happens. They are having terrible luck with injuries this year, and it's certainly affecting their play, and rightfully so. When your defense is getting decimated, it's tough. They can still score goals, though. A couple weeks ago, they put up 4 on Dallas, I think. So they're perfectly capable of scoring goals, and something to watch out for. We cannot give Bradley Wright Phillips time and space. We need to make sure that we're cut off passing lanes, that we pressure their midfield, and we really take them out of the game. So it'll be vital that our midfield, really, really is active like they have been, which is why I think you'll see Bravo and Lopez. I don't think you're going to see anything funky. If Lampard's available, I don't think he starts unless he starts for Pirlo, but he's not going to start with Pirlo. Patrick Vieira seems to have made it fairly clear, like he wants the team to play a certain way, and he's going to pick players based on their ability to do so, not just because of who they are. Hence the mixed Diskerud lack of starts up until Sunday, and that's when they needed him because Bravo was out. And honestly, mixed Diskerud didn't do enough to suggest he deserves another. So I think you're going to see the normal lineup. I think we can press them better in midfield and are much more active and athletic than we were in 2015, and that's going to be good. If we force them into a plan B, I don't know if they're going to be able to adapt. The other thing is if we can put pressure on their defense, they might not be able to handle it just because they have so many injuries back there. It's a rivalry game. It's going to be loud. It's going to be passionate. It's going to be fun. Anything can happen. All it takes is just one moment. All it takes is one of our younger players getting overwhelmed by the build-up or the atmosphere. We just need to play cool, play calm, play our game, and we should be okay. With that in mind, I'm going to go out on a limb and say we get a win. I think we get, let's say, a 2-1 win. Why? Why not? Partially because I just couldn't tell you who the Red Bulls are going to start in their back four, and that to me is enough of a danger. That's enough of a danger if I'm a Red Bulls fan to feel worried. NYCFC are finding ways to score goals. Their attack's been better. It's really starting to click. Putting McNamara on the left was a huge move. Shelton's been better, even though he's slightly quiet on Sunday. He still has had his moments, and that was one of his quieter games recently. And Villa's Villa. At the end of the day, I just think that's more than enough to get it done against a banged-up Red Bulls team. But beware. You never know. Rivalry games get weird. But I think we finally get 3 points against them and maybe start to turn the tide just a little bit in both the local rivalry, the local soccer scene, and MLS in general. With that, about to sign off, but I do want to sort of give you all a heads up. As you know, I am on Blue City Radio podcast. I've done the blog, NYCFC Blues, and I do the videos here for Blue York One. I have made a decision to step back from my blog and step back from some of my other duties, and that will include the videos. Lots of reasons for it. If you read my stuff, go to nycfcblues.com. I posted a piece sort of describing everything that I feel and what came into it. It's kind of a long story, and it's been ongoing. But long and the short of it is I just sort of need to focus on life and focus on enjoying the team as a fan. I will still do the podcast with Mike Anderer every week. It's really those couple hours of speaking is probably my way of venting about the team. But that'll be it. And I will not be doing the videos. This might be my last one. We're not 100% sure yet. I am going to transition out of it. I will keep doing them until we find somebody else. I don't know if that'll be next week or not. But just a heads up in general, if this is my last one, I thank you all for watching, and I appreciate it. And if it's not my last one, just a heads up, my last one will probably be coming sooner rather than later. But I really do appreciate everybody who's watched, commented, read my articles, listened to our podcast, favorited the YouTube channel, and pushed it out to people. It's really appreciated, and, we do this for the love of the team and the sport, and sometimes it becomes, more than you want it to be, but that's okay. Ultimately, it's for the fans, and, I really do appreciate every single one of you. And, keep watching. This segment will not be going anywhere. It'll just be somebody different, somebody else's pretty face, as opposed to mine. But you're still going to get this. You're going to get all the content that you've gotten. You won't have my website anymore, and, that is unfortunate. And, I'm sorry if you did like that. I do appreciate all the readers. You could still listen to me on the podcast, though. So please, if you don't already, download the podcast, Blue City Radio. We've been doing it for well over a year now, and I think we're the first. And, it's the one thing we're going to keep going. So if you like listening to me, if you think I'm an idiot, you think I'm intelligent, whatever the case may be, download the podcast, listen to it, comment on iTunes, and we'll appreciate that. And while you're at it, comment on this one, give feedback for the YouTube channel for Blue York One. They're doing great work. They're doing really cool stuff. Video, hey, it's the technology of the future, right? In 1958. But no, seriously though, it is still cool. I mean, the video stuff's cool. It's always cool to get pictures along with words, and I know I learn better that way, and I hope that you've learned something from this. And please keep watching. Please keep following the channel. They're not going to lose content. They're just going to have different people doing it, talented people, and that'll be really, really fun. So thank you all. Good luck. Support the team, and hopefully I'll see some of you at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. Good night.